Izuku and Momo started to fight. They clashed swords. Momo got a little ahead, but Izuku was faster and hit a Tago that Momo managed to stop. Luckily, Momo threw a knife that Izuku dodged, but it was just a decoy since Momo was about to cut him, but Izuku quickly stopped with his katana and they argued. Izuku, I see, you have more agility than it seems. The only thing I have to do is destabilize your agility weapon. Dragon scale save, wolf fangs. Izuku summoned his knives and got into a fighting stance. Momo, I see. Momo lunged at Izuku again and slashed at him, which Izuku parried with his knives, then kicked Momo. Momo recovered, but Izuku didn't let him breathe since he was in front of him. Izuku slashed at Momo, which he didn't dodge, and Izuku slashed at his katana hand. Izuku kicked him in the leg and threw it away, finishing it off with a flying kick. Present, it's impressive Midoriya Izuku has finished off Yaoyorozu in no time. Kirasuma vs. Shoto. Kirasuma looked at Shoto seriously. Mightn't it, begin. Kirasuma launched himself with his quirk active. Shoto launched an ice pillar that Kirasuma couldn't dodge. Mined Iva to give Shoto the win, but Kirasuma broke the ice and launched himself. Shoto froze the ground and made Kirasuma slip and then froze Kirasuma, but he broke the ice again. Kirasuma launched a punch and an ice pillar blocked his arm. Kirasuma, I can't get my arm out. Shoto appeared behind him with fire, punched him in the back of the head, leaving Kirasuma unconscious. Present, as you can see they are from Class A. Kyoka vs. Katsuki. Jiru launched himself without waiting a second. Katsuki did the same. Katsuki threw an explosion, but Kyoka created a wave that destroyed the explosion. Kyoka began to run in a zigzag. Katsuki tried to give him an explosion, but Kyoka dodged it and stuck her jacks in Katsuki's neck that paralyzed him and gave him a wave that made him unconscious. Mina vs. Melissa. Mina threw acid, but Melissa quickly dodged it and kicked her at 5% and stunned her. Then she punched her in the stomach that lifted her up and took her out of the combat arena. Izuku vs. Shoto. Izuku looked at Shoto and smiled. Izuku, you have listened to my advice. Shoto, yes, and to thank you I will beat you. Izuku, we'll see. Shoto and Izuku got into a fighting stance. Izuku ran towards Shoto. Shoto froze the entire ground and Izuku jumped so that he wouldn't freeze his feet, but he didn't expect a pillar of ice that was heading for his face. Izuku, Black Pain. Izuku summoned his bow and destroyed the ice pillar with an arrow and fell to the ground. Izuku, can I make a request? Minute, according to Izuku, Zamento-sensei can enlarge the combat zone. Our skills are not as efficient with these restrictions. Mightn't it, Todoroki, do you agree? Shoto, yes. Zamentos enlarged the area now the platform was all the way up to the wall. Izuku, okay, let's do this. Shoto released a great torrent of fire. Izuku, ability, Elemental Usurpation. Izuku absorbed the fire and with his bow. Izuku, ability, Elemental Shot. Izuku launched a fire arrow that Shoto stopped with a wall of ice. Shoto started to launch ice pillars everywhere. Izuku skidded on the ground and a pillar appeared in front of him and Izuku propelled himself with the ice and did a backflip. Izuku had to roll on the ground and dodged another pillar. Shoto and Izuku looked at each other and Izuku smiled. Izuku, Wolf Fangs Wolf Frangs, White Wolf Wolf Frangs, Black Wolf. Izuku threw his two knives and they turned into two wolves. Izuku summoned the dragon scale. The white wolf ran to the right, the black wolf to the left and Izuku in front. Shoto tried to protect himself with ice, but the wolves began to charge energy in their mouths. The white wolf black energy and the black wolf white energy and two energy shots that destroyed all of Shoto's ice and Izuku was on top of him. Izuku, Dragon Scales, Green Flare. Izuku lit his sword with green fire and slashed. The fire surrounded Todoroki and little by little a green dragon formed that launched a torrent of green fire that left Shoto out of combat. Present, and this fight ended in a spectacular way. Izuku took Shoto to the infirmary. Kyoka vs. Melissa. Kyoka climbed towards the platform where Melissa was already more than ready. Mightn't it, begin. Melissa didn't wait a second and was already in front of Kyoka and threw a block that hit Kyoka, but she connected her jacks on Melissa's leg, numbing it. Kyoka threw a punch to the stomach, but Melissa blocked the punch and with her free hand she punched her and slammed her against a wall, leaving her unconscious. Present, fence shortest confrontation. They took Kyoka to the infirmary and Melissa to the waiting room. After half an hour, it was time for the final. Izuku vs. Melissa. They both looked at each other and Minot gave permission for them to begin. Melissa and Izuku stood still waiting for each other's move. Neither moved, but Izuku already had everything planned. Izuku, Ability, Smoke Screen. Izuku created smoke and got into it. Melissa, that won't help you. Melissa threw a punch that dissipated the smoke, but not a single Izuku was seen. 10 were seen going for Melissa. Melissa went for them. 2 Izuku threw kunais, but Melissa dodged it and hit them, both disappeared in smoke. A clone punched her in the back that disabled her, but she recovered quickly and stopped the attack of a clone and slammed it against the clone that had hit her, causing it to disappear. 3 other clones launched themselves, but Melissa clapped with 30% and they disappeared in smoke. 3 more clones grabbed her by the arms and the last clone extended his hand. Clone, Special Ability, Ice Beam. The clone launched an ice beam that Melissa miraculously dodged. Melissa kicked one of the clones that was holding her arm and dissipated it. Then with her free arm she destroyed the other 2 clones. The last clone launched itself and threw a punch, but Melissa hit him with a punch that dissipated it. On the platform there was only Melissa, and suddenly her leg was frozen and she received a punch in the stomach, then in the face, and then a kick in the arm. Melissa has become invisible. Izuku, Red Rose, Red Ice. Izuku stuck the red rose into the ground and everything turned into red ice. Izuku prepared his sword. Melissa, Detroit Smash 50%. Izuku, Sword Skill, Elemental Cut. Izuku launched an ice slash that collided with the Detroit Smash and that created a cold air current. Izuku, Special Ability, Celestial Wind. Special Ability, Celestial Wind. This ability allows Izuku to become as fast as the wind and as fast as air. Izuku was already behind Melissa, who couldn't react. Izuku, Special Ability, Demonic Presence. Izuku created a presence that left Melissa kneeling on the ground. Izuku, It's Over. Izuku launched his 10-hit combo that left Melissa unconscious. Present, and the winner of the sports festival is Midoriya Izuku. Izuku left with his companions, but before arriving his menu opened. Congratulations, you have completed the sporting event. Reward, Demonic Form. Izuku looked demonically in surprise and looked in the skills section, and there was a new area. Forms. Demonic Form Level 1. Forms serve to give you a special quality or power that can be used during the active form. Izuku, Kadevs, I think my quirk is more amazing. Saving game. It had been 2 days since the sports festival. Today was a Monday and the class was in chaos until Aizawa walked through the door and everyone fell silent. Aizawa, well listen, because I'll only say it once, the festival served to make some hero keep an eye on you. Depending on your participation in the festival, they will have sent you more or less requests to be in a 1-week internship. Any questions? Nobody asked anything and Aizawa started handing out the applications. Of course the ones who had the most were Izuku and Melissa, and he rang the bell. Izuku and Kyoka were eating quietly until Melissa and Shoto arrived. Shoto, hello. Izuku, hello. Shoto sat next to Izuku and Melissa next to Kyoka. Melissa, who will you go with? Midoriya, Todoroki, and Jiro. Kyoka, with the heroine Mirko. Shoto, with my father. Izuku, I'm thinking about it. Kyoka, and your shield. Melissa, with a retired Gran Torino hero. Izuku looked at Melissa seriously and just said. Izuku, good luck, the old man hits hard. Melissa, do you know Gran Torino? Izuku, my grandmother and he were companions for a time. Melissa, your grandmother, that is, Nana Shimura. Izuku, yes. Izuku continued eating while looking at a paper. Kyoka, we must decide between today or tomorrow. Izuku, I already know who I'm going with. The 3, with whom? Izuku, with the ninja hero Ejisat. Kyoka, why am I not surprised? Izuku, I don't know. So the week passed without incident, another Monday, and now the whole class was at the station, each one waiting for their train. Izuku, that's mine by Kyoka. Kyoka, bye and don't do anything crazy. Izuku, yes. Izuku got on the train and started looking at his menu. He hadn't tried the demonic form yet and it intrigued him. He arrived at his stop and wandered quietly towards Ejisat's agency. Upon arrival he was greeted by a hero who took him to the training room where Ejisat was waiting. Izuku, hello. Ejisat launched himself and with a katana launched a cut that Izuku dodged and took out the stir dark. Ejisat, I was not wrong about you, you are good. Izuku put away his revolver and Ejisat his katana and they both sat down. Ejisat, I chose you because your actions showed me you were a great shinobi. Izuku, well, thanks, what will the training be, sensei? Ejisat, I will guide you in throwing, stealth, strategy and fighting. From what I see you are good at all of that, but I will help you take it to another level. Are you ready? Izuku, yes. Izuku and Ejisat went out to patrol. Ejisat, first lesson, you have to always be alert, you can't be surprised by anything or you will be late. Izuku, understood. Ejisat, today if something happens I won't act alone, and by the way, what is your hero name? Izuku, Gamer. Ejisat, okay Gamer, let's get to the action. Izuku and Ejisat began patrolling and suddenly an explosion was heard, a store had exploded. Izuku wasted no time and entered the store. Izuku, Blue Sky, King of the Sea. Izuku created water from his sword and began to put out the fire, then he looked at the store manager who had some burns and took him out of the store. Soon the police and an ambulance arrived. Agente, what happened? Izuku, I was patrolling when the explosion happened and I came as quickly as possible to put out the fire and get the manager out. Police, okay kid, you're going with some professional hero, right? Ejisat, yes, it's my intern. Official, this was intentional. I see we have a case on our hands, Ejisat. Ejisat, yes, Gamer, second lesson, stay calm above all else. If you get angry, scared, or nervous, it clouds your senses. Izuku, understood. The ambulance took the store manager and Izuku and Ejisat to the police station so they could handle the crime with the police. Ejisat, a hero is always working with some policeman. Izuku, I see. Agente, well, we have called the owner of the business, he will be interrogated and we will see if someone wanted to hurt the employee or if they just wanted to destroy the premises. A man in his 50s entered the police station and went to where the officer and the heroes were. Hello, I'm Takeda, the owner of the store that exploded. Agente, we will ask you some questions. Do you agree? Takeda, of course. Officer, is there someone who wants to kill your employee or destroy your business? Takeda, not my business, but the boy, yes. I gave him a job when he needed it most. It seems like he owes money to a drug dealer. Officer, I see, it's common around here. Ejisat, knows what the camel's appearance or name is. Takeda, I don't just tell myself that he was a very dangerous one. Ejisat, and until he wakes up we won't know. Izuku, and if we look at his house or near it or his family or friends. Ejisat, well said Gamer, I will look for his friends and you for his family. Takeda, the boy's name is Jin Senju. Izuku, okay, officer, let me have the computer. Officer, of course, kid. Izuku sat down and started searching for information. Izuku, wow, parents are separated, his father is dead and he lives with his mother who lives near the store. Ejisat, go, I'll talk to your friends. Izuku, I found your Instagram, maybe I can find something. Ejisat, perfect. Officer, boy, I'm going with you. Izuku, of course. Izuku and the officer went to Jin's mother's house. Izuku, by the way, what is your name? Aaron, I'm Aaron Jiger but just call me Aaron, I'm 19. Izuku, go enchant at Izuku Midoriya 15 and call me Izuku. Aaron, of course. So Izuku and Aaron arrived at the building where Jin lived and went to room B to talk to his mother. They knocked on the door and a brown-haired girl opened the door for them. Jin, do you need anything? Aaron, yes, we came to talk about an incident related to your son. Jin, sure pass. Aaron and Izuku entered the house and as soon as they entered they saw a small living room. Aaron, well, his son is in the hospital because he was attacked and it is believed that it is because he owes money to a drug dealer. Jin, impossible, he said it 2 years ago. Jin's mother was very distressed. Izuku, you know the camel's name. Jin, if I know your name, the name is. Jin's mother fell silent and looked at her stomach where there was a bujero where blood was coming out, before she fell to the ground. Aaron, this is Officer Jiger, ambulance on the street. Izuku looked around the room and saw that the window had a bujero and took out his revolver and approached the window covering himself with the wall next to him and another shot. Only the target was Aaron who managed to dodge it. Aaron, we need reinforcements, a sniper. Saving game. A somewhat complicated situation, a wounded and dying civilian, an officer, a hero, and a sniper. Aaron, have you been able to see where the shots are coming from? Izuku, yes, there are at least 2 from the rooftop next door. Aaron, shit, this is Officer Jiger, 2 snipers, watch out for everyone, patrol approaching. Izuku, I have a plan. Aaron, it means putting your life in danger. Izuku, no. Aaron, execute it. Izuku created a clone and left it in its position and activated the camouflage and went up to the roof of the building, and with his revolver he pointed at the two snipers. Izuku, my bullet won't reach. Izuku formulated a plan and put it into action. 5 clones ran away and the snipers started shooting at them. Izuku, special ability, Divine Wind. Izuku turned into wind and stood behind the 2 snipers and aimed at them. Izuku, assholes, hands up. The snipers turned their heads and saw Izuku. Shortly after, 3 patrol cars and an ambulance arrived. They were already in the office and were about to interrogate the prisoners, and Izuku had opened the menu. Police mission, Phase 1 completed. Reward. Hecate. Police mission, Phase 1 completed. Reward, Hecate 4. FN 57. Izuku, well, more firearms are cool. Izuku went to the interrogation area where Eren and Ejisat were waiting for him. Ejisat, well, gamer, during a mission together with the police, the agent and the hero must interrogate. Izuku, you mean Eren and I have to interrogate him? Ejisat, correct, now to interrogate. Izuku and Eren entered and saw one of the snipers. Izuku, fine, you'll tell us what we want to know and maybe you won't go to prison for more than 2 years. Sniper, I won't say anything, damn it. Eren, you've already told us something, it's a start, we want to know the name of your boss. Sniper, ha 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 ha, do you really think I'll tell you the boss's name? Izuku, well, you work in a criminal gang, that will add to your shame. Sniper, I haven't said that I work in a criminal gang. Eren, well, the 2 snipers, you don't want to say who their boss is and that you carry a target, are not sufficient proof that you belong to a criminal gang. Izuku noticed something. Izuku, Eren, let's go out for a moment. Izuku and Eren left the room. Eren, what's happening? Izuku, it's a hunch, but let's see the other guy. Izuku and Eren went to see the other sniper. Eren, well, your partner has already told us that you work for a criminal group that has a lot of funding. Sniper 2, that guy can't keep secrets. Izuku, okay, I got what I needed. Izuku and Eren went out. Eren, can you explain it to me? Izuku, where are your confiscated weapons? Eren, here. Izuku approached and examined them. Izuku, here it is, this proves that they belong to a criminal group. Eren, what? Izuku, this symbol. Izuku pointed at a symbol on the 2 weapons. Izuku, and they also have it tattooed, the first one on their neck and the second one on their hand. Eren, damn, good eyesight, Izuku. Izuku and Eren went to the first sniper and came up with a plan. Eren, well, your stay here is over. Eren started to handcuff him. Sniper, what does he do? Izuku, you can't see it, he's handcuffing you to take you to prison for 40 years, for attempted murder, possession of an illegal weapon, drug possession and belonging to a criminal group. Your partner has said it all. Sniper, what do you mean he told you everything? Eren, yes, he told us that you are a terrorist group and that you want to kill a lot of people and that you are planning something very big. Sniper, what a bastard, he told you everything. Izuku, everything, everything, even when is your blow going to be? Sniper, he hasn't told you everything since I have a higher level than him in the guild. Izuku, we hear you. Izuku and Eren left the interrogation of the sniper and ran towards their superiors. Izuku, sensei, we have discovered something very big. Ejisat, what's up? Eren, they're going to carry out an attack tomorrow. The entire police station looked at them. J. Police, where and what time? Eren, in the shopping district at 8:30 p.m. J. Police, you've already heard him, start working, start preparing, tomorrow no one is free, and you too, anything else? Izuku, they call themselves Smiling Coffin, their logo is a coffin with a smiling face and a hand. J. Police, well done, I want 2 officers to take those 2 detainees to the cell now, I want a patrol car in the business district now and I want all available patrol cars to search for the logo of a coffin with a smiling face and an arm now. Within minutes everyone was doing something. Ejisat, well Izuku, what do you want to do? Should we go or should we stay and continue investigating? Izuku, investigating. J. Police, if you stay to investigate gamer with Eren, Ejisat with me. Izuku and Eren went out to search the streets. It was already 9 in the morning and Izuku and Eren were having coffee in a cafe. Eren, all night and all we've found is a bar with that logo. Izuku, we should ask for permission to do a raid. Eren, yes, well we see ourselves focused a lot on this and we haven't even gotten to know each other well. Izuku, we are partners. Eren, you are one of the few heroes who see police officers as partners. So Izuku and Eren finished breakfast and returned to the police station. J. Pelosha, it was about time you arrived. What have you discovered? Eren, we found a bar with a laughing coffin sign. J. Police, I'll ask for the order, hopefully in 3 days we'll have it, now get ready, you'll be on deck in Uzu. Izuku/Eren, yes. So they both put on normal clothes and went to the Uzu district. Izuku, okay, perfect, all day shopping. Eren, stop complaining, and by the way, do you have a weapon? Izuku, my quirk itself allows me to draw weapons, but if you mean fire weapons, yes. Eren, well, you know how to shoot, right? Izuku, yes. Eren, perfect. So they went on and on until 5:30 p.m. and found something. Eren, this is the laughing coffin symbol. They had entered a restaurant that had the logo. Izuku, it could mean that it's a base or that it's the target. Eren, I've already sent a message to the boss. Izuku, good. They both went to sit at a table and a group of 4 guys with unsuspicious appearances came in and approached them. Extra, that place is ours. Izuku and Eren looked at each other and Eren just looked at his cell phone and saw the message from the police chief. Message, go ahead, do what you have to do. Eren looked at Izuku and nodded. Izuku, damn, hey, you know, I'm coming out of the coffin smiling. The extras were shocked and the waiters pulled out guns. Eren, have fun, damn it. Eren knocked over the table and pulled out his gun. Izuku, fuck FN57. Izuku invoked his new gun and started shooting. Saving game. Commercial district, a somewhat calm district, there was a restaurant that was nothing out of the ordinary until someone flew through the window. Izuku, fuck. Izuku and Eren were behind the bar and had 3 guys pointing at them. Extra, we won't do anything to you when you leave. Izuku and Eren looked at each other. Izuku, this guy thinks we're retarded. Eren, yes, take the bottle. Izuku grabbed a bottle of alcohol and smiled. Izuku, I know what your plan is. Izuku moved along the bar and stood in an area where the extras couldn't see him and Eren started shooting. The extras started shooting and Izuku ran and stood behind one of them and kicked him, causing a sprain in his right leg and smashed the alcohol bottle into another extra. He took out his gun and aimed at the other one. Izuku, drop the gun. The extras threw away their guns. Eren, Agent Jake, I need a patrol at the bar in the southwest of the shopping district. Izuku, well this is a base so. Eren, there must be something important. They both looked at the extra. Izuku/Eren, speak. They would both say. Extra, I won't say anything, you don't scare me. Eren, no. Eren grabbed him by the shirt and made him look into his eyes. Eren, let's see it. Eren's eyes lit up and the extra started screaming. Izuku, that's your quirk. Eren, yes, vision control, I can decide who sees who I look in the eyes. Izuku, I see, that's fine. Eren, thanks, just wait. Extra 2, I will speak. Izuku and Eren looked at the extra that Izuku had sprained. Izuku, say. Extra 2, no, first I want immunity and for you to guarantee my safety. Izuku, whose? Extra 2, our leader is called. Extra 2's head exploded, then extra 3's and extra 1's. Izuku, fuck. Eren, this is just getting worse. Izuku, it was bombs or a sniper. Eren, bombs. Izuku saw something on the bar. Izuku, run Eren. Izuku grabbed Eren's shirt and made him move. Izuku didn't even open the door, he kicked it down and Eren got angry and followed him and the restaurant exploded. Eren, shit, what the hell was that? Izuku, I saw a small detonator on the bar, these guys are dangerous. Eren, yes. 2 patrols arrived. Police, they are fine. Izuku, yes. Eren, it's 6:20 p.m., it's not yet time for the attack. Izuku, I wish that son of a bitch didn't tell us the whole truth. Eren, what are you saying? Izuku, and if the bomb that explodes at 8:30 p.m. is the big bomb? And just saying that, 2 more explosions were heard. Eren, fuck. Police, go, we'll go for reinforcements. Izuku and Eren started running. Eren, cover up fear, put on your suit. Izuku, dark suit eye. Izuku already had his suit on, holstered his gun. Izuku, hallucination red rose. Izuku summoned 2 swords and put them behind his back. Eren and Izuku arrived at the shopping district plaza and saw that everything was on fire. There were already some heroes and Izuku saw Ida. Izuku, Eren follow me. Izuku and Eren went with Ida. Izuku, Lida. Lida turned around and saw Izuku. Lida, Midoriya, what are you doing here? Izuku, long story catch me up. Lida, 2 bombs in 2 different buildings very close together, that's why everything is destroyed. Right now we're trying to get civilians out of the area. Izuku, okay, let's go. Eren, I'll look around the area to see if I find any more bombs. Izuku, don't die. Eren, same. Izuku, I'll go into the building. Lida, you're crazy. Izuku, I'll put out the fire, I'll save it. Lida, let's go. Izuku and Ida went to one of the 2 buildings that were on fire, but before they got there the building collapsed and began to fall. Izuku, change of plans. Izuku and Ida ran while behind them the building fell on them. Ida used her maximum speed and Izuku the blue flash and they managed to escape. The other building exploded again and also fell silent. Izuku, fuck, and these are the little ones. Lida, what are you saying? Izuku, there's a bigger one at 8:30 p.m. Lida, bigger than these. Izuku, probably about 10 times more. Eren, Izuku, do you receive me? Izuku, yes, it happens, Eren. Eren, we found the big bomb, the problem is that it's literally in a square and is being surrounded by a bunch of guys with machine guns. Izuku, let's go there. Izuku and Lida ran to the area where they saw the police preparing the attack. Ejisat, Gamer and I will go in front, the police behind us and then the heroes who are here. Ingenian, my brother and I will go Guna Adi Ejisat. Ejisat, perfect. So the plan was put into action. Ejisat and Izuku ran across the rooftops and Ingenian and Lida ran down the road. Those from Laughing Coffin saw them and started shooting. Lida and Ingenian dodged with their speed, Ejisat with agility and Izuku cut the bullets and they were already in the square. Lida and Ingenian had shot down 3R, Laughing Coffin, Ejisat was kicking and Izuku was giving cuts. He put away the red rose and took out the FN-57 and cut bullets and shot. The police and heroes arrived in seconds and began to kill all the R, and so 20 minutes passed where all the R were detained. Izuku put away his sword and gun and sat down. Izuku, I'm so hungry. Eren, yeah, same. Lida, yes, I think we're all hungry. Police, run. A policeman shouted desperately and it was seen how all the R began to shine and Izuku understood it, but it was too late, a big explosion happened. Saving game. Izuku watched as the ARs were shining and understood that they were going to explode and then they exploded but in slow motion. Izuku didn't understand what was happening but he took advantage and began to take out people like a red ray. Special ability, Flash. Izuku started to take everyone out and put them in a designated area there. Everyone watched the explosion in the distance and no one understood anything until they saw a red lightning bolt crash into a police car. Everyone saw Izuku with his suit charred and his left shoulder with 3-degree burns. Lida, Izuku. They all went to Izuku. Izuku, I'm fine. Special ability, Fire. Small blue flames surrounded Izuku and began to heal him a little. Izuku, this isn't over yet, while I was running I saw what that armor was. Ejisat, what is it? Izuku, an artificial portal. Everyone looked towards the square where a blue portal opened and a lot of people with bulletproof vests and helmets started to come out. Izuku, we have to stop them here. Ejisat, yes, but they are approaching very quickly. Izuku, we'll hold them off while we put snipers and permission to kill. J.Police, permission to kill and use quirk, let's go. The heroes rushed forward and several police officers followed them. The rest went towards the cars to take out the snipers. Izuku, wolf fangs, white wolf fangs, black wolf. Izuku turned his 2 knives into 2 wolves that began to bite the R and Izuku took out the elucidator and red rose. Izuku gave a cut and cut off the arm of one, then a fire cut that decapitated 2 others. Several bullets went to him but he cut them as if nothing and his wolves killed the one who had shot him. They continued like this for 10 minutes until the covering fire from the police began, and so they managed to slowly kill all of the mini army. Most of the heroes and police were covered in blood but not his own. Everyone takes a short break. J. Police, and brats. Izuku, Ida and Eren looked at him. J. Police, how do you feel? The first murder is usually the hardest. Lida, I don't feel good or bad. Eren, I feel good, they deserved it. Izuku, I'm fine because if I hadn't killed those people, how many would they have killed? J. Police, I see, well that thing is falling apart now so this is over. Suddenly an old man in a yellow suit was fighting a monster. Izuku, Gran Torino. Izuku shot out and slashed at the monster that came forward. Izuku grabbed Gran Torino's cape and went alongside the police and heroes who started aiming at the Nomu. Izuku, it's quite old man. Gran Torino, more respect, kid, but this is fine. Izuku, where is the shield retard? Gran Torino, I was on the train but I think he jumped after me. Lida, and Izuku Adi Melissa sent you her location. Izuku looked at his phone and saw that Melissa sent his location. Ejisat, see, we face each other. Izuku, I hope that thing isn't as strong as the one in the USJ. Ejisat, don't worry. Izuku and Ida went to the area where Melissa had sent her location and arrived just in time since Stein was going to kill her. Izuku used the blue flash and stopped Stein's sword with a Lucidator. Izuku, the cavalry has arrived. Melissa, Midoriya. Izuku, Lida, take Melissa and the wounded hero, I'll take care of Stein. Melissa, no, Midoriya, you won't be able to. He'll just kill you. Izuku, if maybe he kills me I'm hurt, but a hero puts someone's life above his own. Stein smiled and threw a slash that Izuku deflected. Stein grabbed his knife but Izuku kicked him and sent the knife flying. Izuku, I won't be so happy to defeat. Stein, tell me your name. Izuku, I'm a gamer. Izuku launched himself with hallucinogen in hand and started a sword fight against Stein. Stein threw another knife. Izuku, ability, Ice Beam. Izuku launched a beam of ice that froze the knife. Izuku, skill, kunai throw. Izuku threw 5 kunais that Stein dodged but didn't expect a kick from Izuku. Stein was lifted into the air in pain. Izuku's kick broke 3 of his ribs, then Izuku used another skill. Izuku, sword skill, cutting fire. Izuku hit Stein's chest and he fell to the ground. Izuku, okay, let's continue. Izuku fell to the ground on his knees. Lida, Midoriya. Lida helped him stay upright. Izuku, I think I've reached my limit. Lida, did you sleep at all today? Izuku, I haven't been doing anything since yesterday at 12. Lida, it's normal that you reach your limit after what you did in the square. Hero, thanks for helping. So they left the alley and began to talk and Todoroki arrived. Shoto, did you arrive late? Izuku, yes. Thus ended what is known as the Uzu incident. Stein was taken to Tartaros. Nothing is known about the leaders of Laughing Coffin, and thus the days passed when we finally received permission to raid that bar we found. Eren and I had already left and thus ended the internships. Saving game. Class A was on a bus to a camp to train. Mina, I'm looking forward to getting to camp. Mineta, yes, I want to rest. Izuku, Minor, did you read the camp brochure? Mineta, no, why? Izuku, it's a training camp. Mineta, how? Mineta shouted indignantly. Aizawa, Mineta, you can leave if you want. Everyone looked out the window and saw the bus going at an absurd speed. Mineta, if I jump, I have a chance of surviving. Izuku, you have a better chance of having a girlfriend than surviving a fall at this speed. Mineta, do you think I can have a girlfriend? I ask excitedly. Izuku, no. Izuku put on some headphones and started listening to music. Kyoka joined him. The class just talked to each other. 1 hour later they stopped. Mineta, a toilet. The whole class was wandering off the bus but saw that they weren't at camp. Melissa, and where is the camp? A car arrived and 2 women in cat costumes got out. Mandali, how are you? Pisabo, hello children. Mandali, well, this week of camp we will be at Ai's house. Mandali pointed to a house that was far away and with a huge forest. Pisabo, and you have until 12. Izuku, well, goodbye. Izuku held Kyoka in his arms and jumped. Aizawa, that's just one. Melissa, Shoto and Katsuki went after him. Aizawa, and there are the other crazy ones, you throw the others. Isabeau, clear. The class flew off into the forest. Mandali, that green-haired one is weird. Aizawa, but the strongest. Izuku was jumping through the trees. Kyoka, how do you jump over branches without breaking them? Izuku, ninja form. Kyoka, I see, and tell me you've already discovered that. Izuku, I can't tell you here, they can hear us, but I think it was Tenko. Izuku Shigeo released and dodged a ground monster that was destroyed by a bullet and Shigeo jumped with Kyoka in his arms. Kyoka, and why are you taking me? Izuku, because I want to, because I can and because I can. Kyoka, okay then. Izuku and Kyoka arrived at the camp where there was a boy of about 8 years old. Izuku, did I make a mistake? Kyoka, will not be related to any of the Pussycat. Izuku, that makes more sense. Izuku and Kyoka approached. Izuku, hello. Kota, what do you want, hero? The boy asked with hatred in his words. Izuku, you don't like me, okay, let me introduce myself, Izuku Midoriya. This girl is Kyoka Jiru and you. Kota, you don't care. Suddenly Aizawa arrived with the bus and Mandali and Isabeau with their car. Mandali, how are you here already? Aizawa, it's the green-haired boy's fault. Izuku, how cold, sensei? Aizawa, let's cook. Izuku, and why me? Aizawa, don't contradict me anymore, cook. Aizawa kicked Izuku who went to cook. Kyoka, I will help you. Kyoka left with Izuku. Aizawa, one day I'll have a heart attack. Mandali, you really care about your students. Aizawa, I haven't seen so much potential in a group for a long time. 6 hours later. The class arrived tired and dirty.
Denki, ha 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 ha, have you seen Midoriya stayed behind next to Jiru?
Izuku and Kyoka walked out of the house with towels around their necks. Izuku, how are you? The class looked at Izuku. Melissa, you only took Kyoka. Izuku, so what? Mineta, how and what? You took Jiru and left us alone. Izuku, I ask again, so what? Katsuki, he'll wear us all down, and if you ask again, so what? I swear I'll make such an explosion that we'll all die. Izuku, I know that I left you all and you can do the same, Shoto, Shield, and Katsuki, you three could have gone to the class with your speed and arrived with me, I decide for myself and I don't care what they tell me, I never change my mind, if I decide to take Kyoka, no one can tell me not to do it since it is my decision, not yours, you decide to go with the class and I decide to go ahead. Kirasama, you are so manly. Kirasama went with Izuku. Kirasama, how do you manage to be so manly? Izuku, and I can feel it coming out on its own and if you excuse me I'm sleepy. Izuku and Kyoka went inside again. Aizawa, by the way, if it weren't for Midoriya and Jiru arriving before you, you wouldn't have any food. Aizawa left and the class went to eat. At 4 in the morning, Class A was already training their gifts. Izuku looked at his menu and his skills. Izuku, sensei, could you move me away from the area a little? I want to practice a mode that I have but I don't know what its destruction range is. Aizawa, sure, but don't burn the forest. Izuku, deal. Izuku went to the forest where he got as far away from his companions as possible. Izuku, well, demonic form. And so Izuku began his training with the demonic form. Saving game. It had been 3 days since they arrived at the camp and the progress was noticeable. Right now the Class A and B were eating quietly. Melissa, and how Ban? Uraka, I'm fine, I'm still vomiting but fine. Kyoka, my ears hurt. Kirasama, I can't feel my fists. Izuku, good. Melissa, always so serious, why don't you smile a little? Izuku, and why do I want to smile? Lita, I'm sorry for the question, but Midoriya, has your attitude always been this cold? Katsuki, of course not, the nerd was just a weakling who was afraid of everything. The whole class looked at Katsuki. Katsuki, you nerd, you act cold and it's just so people don't see how weak you are. Zero, Bakugo, you're going too far. Katsuki, no, what am I doing? I'm just telling the truth to a damn outcast. Kaminari stood up and approached Izuku. Kaminari, you know, I think I know why Midoriya is so serious. Lita, I don't think so. Kaminari, yes, it was certain that his mother was one of those. Kaminari didn't finish because Izuku had elbowed him in the stomach, making him vomit. Izuku, don't talk if you don't know, that will get you into trouble. Izuku got up and hid in the forest. Melissa, Bakugo, tell us why Midoriya is so serious. Katsuki, he's just playing the victim, just a pathetic quirkles. Everyone stopped eating and looked at Katsuki. Melissa, what did you say? Katsuki, that nerd was quirkless from the age of 4 to 14, that's why he distrusts everyone. Kyoka got up and went to the forest, while the class tried to get out of the shock. Melissa, that's impossible, quirks don't take that long to appear. Kota listened to the whole conversation. Izuku was punching some trees with his bare fists. Kyoka, you'll hurt yourself. Izuku lay down and Kyoka lay down next to him. Kyoka, I know you don't like to talk about your feelings, but here I am. Izuku looked at Kyoka and just nodded and looked back at the sky. Kyoka, I don't know if I should tell you this, Bakugo has revealed that you are a quirkles. Izuku got up and started walking, but Kyoka stopped him. Kyoka, Izuku, please say something. I don't like seeing you so depressed. I know you have your reasons for not telling me everything, but we are friends. You have been the only one I have been able to consider a true friend, like my best friend. Izuku turned around and saw Kyoka's tears and hugged her. Izuku, I'm sorry, I don't usually talk about my feelings because I'm afraid of breaking down in front of someone. Kyoka, I'm not someone, I'm your best friend. Izuku, I know, you're my first friend. Izuku slowly fell the shell he formed over his feelings, and after more than 2 years he cried in the arms of his first friend. Izuku, I don't know what to do, I'm afraid that my theory is true and Tenko is alive being that, I'm afraid of how the class will take that he was a quirkles, I'm always afraid that you will rejoice. Kyoka listened to her friend while hugging him. Kyoka, I will never leave your side. What no one noticed was that Melissa was listening to them. The third day ended without further incidents. No one heard from Izuku or Kyoka all day as they stayed in the forest. Izuku and Kyoka walked towards the camp. Izuku, thank you. Kyoka, don't give them to me, whenever you need something I'll be there for you. Izuku, same as you. Izuku and Kyoka continued talking, but at one point Izuku pushed Kyoka and dodged a bullet. Izuku ran and got behind a log. Kyoka, what's going on? Izuku, FV-7 attacks us. Izuku summoned his gun and looked around, but since it was dark he saw nothing, another shot that only hit a rock. Izuku, ability, night vision. Izuku's eyes shone and he began to see in the darkness, and he saw a sniper in a tree, and then he saw 6 hooded men with machine guns and night glasses. Izuku put away his gun. Izuku, weapon, Hikari. Izuku summoned his Hikari and got on the ground and aimed at the sniper who was looking for him. Izuku breathed and aimed. He waited a few seconds and a shot was heard throughout the forest. Izuku had hit him in the leg and he fell. As he fell, a crack was heard. Izuku put away his Hikari. Izuku, arm A, yin and yang. The yin and yang swords were summoned in his hands. Izuku launched himself at an absurd speed and was behind the hooded men. Izuku was in the air and launched a cut to the back of one of the hooded men. The hooded men noticed him and began to shoot at him. Izuku skidded with somersaults and skids on the ground apart from cutting the bullets. Izuku skidded and was winged next to one of the hooded men and launched a cut that made a large cut on his arm, and then a kick that left the hooded man unconscious. A bullet that Izuku dodged but did not expect that a hooded man launched himself at him. Izuku cut the machine gun and gave 2 cuts to the legs that left the hooded man on his knees, and then gave a kick that knocked him out. 2 others began to shoot. Izuku dodged the bullets. Izuku, ice beam. Izuku threw a beam of ice that froze one of the hooded men, and the other hooded man stared at his frozen companion, and thanks to that Izuku stood in front of him and with a punch he knocked him unconscious. But Izuku noticed something: there were 6 and he only defeated 5. He began to look everywhere and saw that the last one was unconscious thanks to Kyoka, who was holding onto a tree and had a knife buried in her right leg. Izuku ran towards her and grabbed her before she fell. Izuku, let's go to the camp and talk to sensei. Kyoka, yes of course, but help me. Izuku put Kyoka on his back and started to go towards the camp, but he noticed that a hooded man had the symbol of a laughing coffin. Izuku jumped and jumped until he reached the camp. He was surprised to see the blue fire and his sensei fighting against a black-haired man. Izuku quickly kicked the black-haired man, who disappeared into the mud. Izuku, sensei, what's going on? Aizawa, they attacked us, and what happened to Jiro? Izuku, we were attacked by members of the laughing coffin. Aizawa, these are from the League. Izuku, okay, sensei, take care of Kyoka, I'll go help. Kyoka, don't do anything crazy. Izuku, I don't promise anything. Izuku left at a great speed. Saving game. Madalai was being cornered by a lizard-shaped villain who slashed with a huge sword, but before the sword could hit Mandalai, the sword was frozen and a black sword shattered the lizard's sword, and the lizard retreated. Spiner, who broke my sword? Izuku, me. Spiner looked into Izuku's eyes and realized he had to be careful. Izuku, you have the option to give up. Spiner, haha and shit. Spiner launched himself at Izuku. Izuku just moved to the side and kicked, shattering two of Spiner's ribs, who was thrown into a tree. Mandalai, how nice that you're here, kid. Izuku, yes. Izuku looked at the area and noticed the villains. He quickly began to defeat them. In a short time he defeated all the villains in the area. Izuku, all those who are injured should go to the camp, those who are tired, only those who truly know that they will not be a hindrance should stay. So everyone left, but before leaving Mandalai looked at Izuku. Mandalai, boy, your blonde friend has gone to get my nephew Kota, can you see if he's okay? It's been a while and I haven't heard anything else. Izuku, of course. Izuku started running and ran into Tokoyami, running out of control. Izuku, they don't give me a break. Izuku unsheathed the Elucidator. Izuku, ability, cutting fire. Izuku began to unleash a torrent of fire from his sword and Dark Sadu began to shrink, until Tokoyami was able to regain control and fell to the ground. Izuku put away the hallucinogen and helped him get started. Tokoyami, thank you. Izuku, don't worry, Kota knows you're there. Help Tokoyami get to the camp. Kota, of course. Kota came out from behind the trees and helped Tokoyami and they left. Izuku started running again but heard a loud crash and saw Melissa with purple arms and a boy jumping through the trees being followed by a blonde with muscle fiber on his body. Muscular was going to hit Melissa but she disappeared in a red flash. Izuku left the area and reached a mountain and Melissa looked at him. Melissa, Midoriya. Izuku, don't worry, I'll take care of the villain. Melissa, no, I will defeat him. How can I be number one if I can't beat a villain? Izuku, that's not a normal villain, that's Muscular, a sadist who has killed more than 70 heroes in 2 years, understand that you can't handle him. Melissa, don't die, even if you don't believe it, you are a friend to me. Izuku, and you. Izuku disappeared in a blue flash. Izuku looked at Muscular who was about to attack Katsuki but he intervened and launched an ice beam that stopped Muscular. Izuku, go away, Katsuki. Bakugo, and shit nerd I will stop this villain. Izuku, it wasn't a suggestion, it was a fucking order. If you want to be number one, first learn to be number two. Katsuki was going to protest but Kirisama intervened. Kirisama, let's go, we know that Izuku can do this alone. Muscular, he will not escape. Muscular launched himself but received a cut and then he looked at Izuku with the hallucinogen and the red rose in his hands and a cold look without emotions and a murderous instinct that made Katsuki and Kirisama tremble. Muscular smiled psychopathically. Muscular, you are Midoriya, Shigataki wants you dead and they also said you were strong. Izuku launched himself towards Muscular and gave a cut with the red rose that made a big cut to Muscular but he covered his wound with fiber. Muscular, pathetic. Muscular raised a punch but Izuku dodged and threw another cut that Muscular dodged and he threw a punch that hit Izuku squarely who was thrown towards some trees crashing into one of them. Izuku quickly recovered and launched himself again but this time he was faster. Muscular, what's up? It's faster. Izuku gave 10 cuts to Muscular but he threw a punch that Izuku dodged by moving his body to the right and gave another 13 cuts. Muscular began to get used to Izuku's speed and began to throw punches that Izuku received or dodged. Muscular threw a kick that Izuku dodged by jumping sideways but Muscular threw a punch that made him roll on the ground. Izuku recovered but Muscular hit him full on with a tree that sent Izuku crashing against a mountain. Izuku recovered but he didn't have time to ration when Muscular stamped a fist in his face that left him even more embedded in the mountain.
Muscular, die ha 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 ha.
Muscular began to give blow after blow. Izuku could do nothing against the brutality of the attack and another punch that made blood flow from Izuku's face. Muscular pulled Izuku from the mountain and slammed him against the ground and then slammed him again against the mountain that cracked. Muscular, dies. Muscular gave an even more powerful blow that destroyed a part of the mountain that fell on Izuku. Kirisama, Izubro. Katsuki, nerd. They would both shout worriedly. Muscular, soon you will see each other again. Muscular launched himself and punched. Kirasama didn't have time to activate his quirk and was destroyed in one hit. Katsuki launched an explosion but it didn't do anything to Muscular. Katsuki dies. Katsuki launched an explosion 20 times bigger than the ones he does. Muscular came out of the explosion with a burn. Muscular, because you are the target because otherwise you would be dead. Muscular threw a punch that left Katsuki unconscious and Muscular grabbed him and put it on his shoulder. Kirasama, bastard, leave Bakugo. Muscular, you're nothing now. Muscular kicked Kirasama, dislocating her shoulder. Kirasama, ha. Muscular left and Kirasama stayed on the ground unable to move because of the pain. Suddenly a noise was heard from where the destruction of the mountain had occurred and from all the giant stones, and Izuku came out with his body covered in blood and a look of anger. Muscular, who had not left very far, looked towards them because of the noise that Izuku had made and looked at him surprised. Muscular, ha 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 ha, you are very funny kid. Izuku, prepare yourself because today you will die in demonic form. Izuku grew 2 dark horns, 2 dark wings, a tail, in his right hand the fang of the sunset and in his left hand a dark aura, his calm green eyes now red with bloodlust. Saving game. Izuku and Muscular looked at each other. Muscular's gaze showed that he only wanted to fight Izuku, but Izuku's gaze showed that he wanted to kill Muscular, and so the fight between Izuku and Muscular resumed. Izuku began to fly and rose into the sky where his right hand had a dark energy, and Izuku plummeted towards Muscular with the sunset fang in attack position. Izuku, sword skill, deadly thrust. Izuku gave a thrust that Muscular managed to dodge by little and a 3-meter crater was made on the ground where Muscular was. Muscular threw a punch that Izuku dodged and prepared his right fist that accumulated darkness. Izuku, demonic technique, multiple hit. Technique, these are the special abilities that Izuku can use while using a form. Izuku punched the muscle that felt the pain as if he received 10 hits. Izuku raised the sunset fang. Izuku, sword skill, cutting fire 2. The fire of skill appeared on the sword but it wasn't an orange fire like usual, it was a black fire. Izuku made the cut but Muscular dodged it. Izuku didn't stay there and made another cut that hit Muscular but he didn't do much since it hit the fiber. Muscular, you're not fun anymore, you're tired. Muscular threw a punch that slammed Izuku into a tree. Izuku recovered and launched himself again but as he was a few inches away from Muscular he hit him with both fists in the face leaving Izuku stunned. Then Muscular hit him again that lifted him up, grabbed his foot and slammed him against the ground. Then Muscular punched him in the stomach that left him breathless and made him vomit blood. Izuku was on the ground almost unable to move from the pain and Muscular picked up Katsuki's unconscious body and began to rejoice. Muscular, I hope we face each other again, brat. Muscular was alleged. Izuku, I'm lost, he's taking Katsuki away, I can't do anything to stop him, I can't even move, why? Why am I still weak? That psychopath is taking Katsuki away and I'm here getting depressed. Rise up Shimura. Izuku, rise up like the best, rise up like a hero. Special ability, Demonic Pact. Special ability, Demonic Pact. With this ability, Izuku increases all his stats, forgets about pain and fatigue, and is able to fight at great speed. Cost, replacing any emotion with anger. If Izuku already has anger it only increases. Effect while the ability is active. Izuku, Red Rose. Izuku summoned the Red Rose and with that sword and the Sunset Fang he launched himself at Muscular, who was surprised to see that Izuku was much faster than before. Muscular threw a punch that Izuku dodged. Izuku raised his 2 swords in black and began to cut Muscular. Izuku, ability, Starburst Stream. 20 cuts Izuku made in seconds. Izuku, 10 hit combo. Izuku gave another 10 cuts. Muscular could do nothing against Izuku's speed. He just received cuts and hoped that Izuku would make an opening to hurt him. Izuku, 5 hit combo, 10 hit combo, new 15 hit combo, ability, Starburst Stream. So in less than 10 seconds Izuku gave 50 cuts. Muscular saw that Izuku had to breathe and punched him but Izuku dodged it a few centimeters from Muscular's fist hitting him. Izuku gave a cut that cut Muscular's cheek and he responded with a quick punch that Izuku couldn't dodge and crashed into some trees, but Izuku didn't wait a second and jumped. Izuku, ability, Supersonic ability, Reinforcement ability, Blue Flash ability, Ultravision. Now Muscular didn't even see Izuku, just a blue ray that gave him cut after cut. Muscular all his hands on the ground and when the blue ray was close to him, he lifted the ground but didn't see that the flash was already on his back. Izuku, Demonic Technique, Dark Cut. Izuku slashed with his Sunset Fang, causing muscle to become bruised, and then did a 50 slash combo again. Izuku, Double sword skill, dark flashes. Izuku's two swords were wrapped in dark auras with red edges. Muscular couldn't even ration when he received all the cuts that Izuku gave him. Muscular fell to his knees and Izuku threw another cut, but Muscular grabbed Izuku's arm and threw the sword at him and then hit him with another punch that made Izuku drop the red rose. Muscular threw a punch but Izuku stopped it with his hand. Izuku, let's play demonic technique, multiple hits. Izuku started hitting Muscular in the face and it felt like each hit was like 10. Muscular threw a punch but Izuku dodged it and threw a kick that hit Muscular injured. Muscular managed to grab Izuku's arm and kicked him that lifted Izuku. Muscular pulled out a tree and slammed it against Izuku. From what was left of the tree came out an Izuku with even more thirst for blood than before. And again Izuku launched himself at Muscular. He did the same but the time of the demonic pact ended. Izuku stopped going so fast but he could use his head properly again. Izuku, illusion. Muscular was no longer in the forest, he was on a Muteseifu rooftop. Muscular, what the fuck? Suddenly 38 Izuku appeared and started attacking Muscular. Muscular, damn kid. Muscular started hitting the Izukus. Out of Muscular Izuku's mind he leaned back a little and prepared his next attack. Izuku ability, wood. Izuku began to control the trees that grew legs and fists and launched themselves towards a Muscular man immobilized by the illusion. Illusion. This ability allows a person to enter an illusion, but if they receive damage in real life, this person leaves the illusion. And so Muscular came out of the illusion but he didn't expect to be crushing many Izukus to be attacked by trees with legs and paws. Muscular began to destroy the trees and for 4 minutes he destroyed the trees and saw Izuku who was just looking at him. Muscular, you've been brat for 4 minutes and you're dead. Suddenly Izuku exploded into smoke and the original was on top of Muscular who was going to hit Izuku but was involuntary by Madara. Izuku, special ability, demonic pressure. Izuku created a pressure in the air that made Muscular kneel down without being able to move and with red rose and the hallucination he prepared his attack. Izuku, this confrontation ends here. Ability, Starburst Stream. Izuku gave 20 cuts and the only thing that was heard was how the wind was cut. Muscular became unconscious after the cuts due to blood loss and Izuku took Katsuki and Kirasama to the camp. Congratulations, you have reached level 36. Saving game. Izuku was dragging Katsuki and Kirasama when he finally saw the camp's house. Izuku was walking and when he reached the door he collapsed and fell to the ground unconscious. Thanks to the noise that Izo made, Aizoa came out and saw the 3 injured and put them in the house. Now you would see the Class A and B together with their teachers and the pupils. Tiger, and now what do we do? Nobody knew what to say to the hero's question. Aizawa, we have no communication and we can't call either since we left the phones at the UA and our phones have no coverage and we shouldn't get to the UA until 2 days from now and the villains seem to be in the mood for trouble. Kyoka, sensei, we have more problems. Aizau, now what? Kyoka, I used my quirk to be able to hear the forest and at least there are the same number of villains that attack the USJ, and from what we have seen there are not only 2 strong villains here, almost all of them are strong. Vlad, the first time they underestimated you and this time they decided to send the real artillery, but why if they are just a group of brats? Mandalay, could it be that a target is a student this time? Melissa, Muscular, I say I was looking for Bakugo. I would say a Melissa with her arms bandaged and entering the room. Aizawa, can't stand. Melissa, tell him to. An Izuku, still not at 100%, entered through the door. Izuku, don't worry sensei, I'm using a skill that allows me to heal myself. I won't be at 100% but at 60% it's enough and we have 2 options. Aizawa, say the options. Izuku, 1 we stay in this house and defend it for 3 or even 4 days, we don't know when the UA will send reinforcements, or we put together 2 teams and leave the forest to the road where we can ask for help. They all looked at each other and Aizawa spoke. Aizawa, the only possibility is the second one. If we stay here we will be easy prey. Let's do what Midoriya said, and Midoriya tell me how we do it. Izuku, a map and let them start packing their things, we'll be leaving in no time. So for 3 hours they prepared their escape from the forest. They saw how Class A and B got on the buses and started driving through the block. Mineta, is this safe? Izuku, no, it's danger, not the next thing. So the buses separated and went to different areas and began to be attacked by villains. Villain, ha 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 ha, look, they think they can escape on buses. The villain threw a lightning bolt at the wheel of the class bus, which began to fail and ended up crashing into some trees. Many villains gathered around them. Villain, get off the bus. The villain opened the door and the bus exploded with the entire area. The same thing happened with the Class B bus, they exploded and the villains began to go towards the explosion area. A group would be seen running through the mountains. Izuku, Phase 1 has been completed. Shout. Class A and B would be seen next to the Pussycat running through the mountains to border the entire area. Aizawa, do you know how much those buses cost? Izuku, the UA can make fake cities and can't buy buses. Aizawa, good point. Everyone kept running but when Izuku crashed into an invisible wall. Izuku, what the fuck? Izuku punched him but it didn't do anything. Izuku, there's a fucking barrier. Aizawa, it doesn't look like it's a quirk, it can't have such a large radius. Kyoka, sensei is right, there is a very strange noise in the center of the forest. Vlad, and now what's the next big idea? Izuku, who is in condition to fight hand to hand. Everyone looked at Izuku with impression. Izuku, we have to destroy that thing. Shoto, I'm going. Monoma, I'm also fit. Kendo, and me. Ibara, I can fight too. Kyoka, and me. Aizawa, well what is the gamer plan? Izuku looked at everyone. Izuku, Ibara and Monoma, you stay to defend everyone. I trust you. The rest of us who are fit will cross the forest to the center where the device must be and destroy it. Aizawa, it's nighttime, it might be a good move since the fire is still there. Izuku, well then, let's go. So they prepared but before leaving Kota hugged Mandali. Kota, Aunt comes back. Mandali, don't worry, I'll always come back to your side, my little one. So they set off, crossed the mountain and began to advance through the forest. Kyoka, we have to go 100 meters straight and then to the right. Izuku, understood. They were talking for 2 hours until Izuku pushed everyone to the ground and 2 machine guns started firing everywhere. Izuku, take cover. I scream while covering Kyoka. Kyoka, the artifact to create that shield is close. Izuku, yes, I think the machine guns are a sign. Mandali, how did they put this so quickly? Izuku, this part of the forest was only used the first day, they had 2 days to be able to put all these things. Shoto at 3 we threw ice at the machine guns. Shoto, understood. Izuku, 3 ability, high-low beam. Izuku and Shoto threw ice and froze the machine guns. Izuku, that's it, let's continue. So they continued talking but when they reached the center they saw a bunch of villains waiting for them. Izuku, ready. All, yes. Izuku, charge. So both heroes and villains launched themselves. Izuku gave an ice cut with the red rose that froze 5 villains, then he threw kunais and Dago invoked 2. A villain lunged at Izuku from behind but Izuku kicked him that crashed the villain to the ground. Little by little the villains were falling one by one but they were all tired and it was getting more and more complicated and 2 hooded men arrived and Izuku saw them. Hooded, enchanted we are members of Laughing Coffin and our goal is to kill Izuku Midoriya and Eren Jiger. The hooded man who hadn't said a word launched himself at Izuku. The hooded man pulled out a sword and launched himself at Izuku but Izuku wasn't one for stupid games and with a few movements the hooded man was unconscious and the hooded man who had spoken only laughed. Izuku, what are you laughing at, damn maniac? Hooded, look closely, it's him. Izuku didn't have time when the hooded man turned into a totally black being, who punched Izuku and he ended up slammed against the ground. Tesu jumped and slammed his fist into the face of the mass of darkness but he didn't do anything to the mass and Tesu was sent flying. But Aizawa used his quirk and the black mass turned into a person again and was frozen by Shoto. Hooded man, wow, they weren't lying, you're strong. Izuku went towards the hooded man who ended up on the ground and Kyoka deactivated the force field that prevented them from leaving the forest. Izuku, it's over. Hooded, this is not over, it's just beginning, gamer. Both the hooded man and the frozen man disappeared in smoke. Kendo, I'm not going back to a camp made by the UA. Izuku, Kyoka, you didn't say they were strong. Kyoka, I don't understand. There were 7 with super loud sounds, which means their quirks were dangerous. Izuku, I see. Everyone started to go back to where the rest were when the hooded man reappeared but behind Aizawa, everyone watched in slow motion as the hooded man was about to stab Aizawa with something. Izuku, special ability, flash. You do not have enough energy left to use this ability. And the hooded man stuck the syringe in Aizawa and the hooded man began to disappear. Hooded, by the way, I'm Death Gun. Death gun disappeared in smoke and Aizawa fell to the ground. Izuku, sensei. Thus ended the camp with a more than clear enemy, knowing that the League was getting stronger and with Aizawa with an unknown substance. Saving game. Aizawa was lying on the ground. Izuku went to help him, and as soon as he turned him over to carry him he saw how Aizawa was sweating profusely. Izuku put Aizawa on his shoulder and began to run as fast as he could since he was too tired. The group that was with him followed him. Luckily when they reached the road there were haulers, police cars and heroes. Uraka, they're coming that way. Everyone looked at the group that went to destroy the device, but everyone was scared when they saw how they ran and how Izuku carried Aizawa. Izuku, a fucking stretcher. Izuku shouted worriedly and a stretcher was brought out of an ambulance and Aizawa was put into the ambulance, and as soon as he was put in they took him to the hospital. Nezu, mightn't it take the students to the dorms and you stay with them? Mightn't it, of course. So Minot took a bus and took the class to the dorms. The whole trip to the UA was quiet since the class fell asleep. Minot, with the help of All Might who was waiting at the UA, got all the students off and took them to their rooms. It's already here, we've taken it to everyone. Mightn't it, I think so, I've taken all the girls. I have taken the boys except Midoriya. Might, impossible, on the bus is not. Izuku, I'm here. The two teachers saw Izuku sitting on the stairs. Might, you should sleep. Izuku, yes, later, now I just want peace and quiet. Might, do you want to talk about what happened? Izuku, talking won't change the fact that Sensei is surely between life and death because I'm not strong. That laughing coffin was coming for me and Aizawa was injured. Why? Why did the laughing coffin want me dead? Why is it that Sensei is the one between life and death? These last few days had managed to destabilize Izuku. The confidence he had gained during those 10 months of training was slowly fading away because of the events. Might, you can't always save everyone, that's the harsh reality. Izuku, I don't want to save everyone, I want to know why, if I was his target to go after Sensei, to attack him, I want to know the damn reason to attack a group of kids is what we are. Why are there these people who only think about killing for no reason, just pleasure? The mask that Izuku had created broke for the second time this week and Izuku burst into tears of frustration. Might, I know it can be difficult and I won't tell you that it can change, that's the way the world is, there are good people and bad people, you can't always differentiate between those two people, since there can be villains who do evil for the good of a loved one, and people who do good to gain fame and get money. And one more thing, don't blame yourself for what happened in Aizawa, he will get through this, he is stubborn, now go to sleep, there are a couple of hours left until dawn, besides tomorrow when the news comes out the UA will be full of reporters and worried families. Izuku, okay, good night Mightnut sensei. So Izuku entered the dorms, and Mightnut also went to sleep on the couch to watch the class. At 9 in the morning the class began to get up and Izuku began to make breakfast for everyone. Mightnut, wow, I didn't know you cooked. Midoriya. Izuku, yes, sensei. Kyoka, her food is very good. So the class had breakfast peacefully until present Mig arrived with some of the students' parents. Mitsuka, Izuku, Katsuki, are you okay? Katsuki, shut up, old lady. Izuku, yes. Mitsuki, how good. Mitsuka hugged them. Mika, and you is Kyoka? Kyoka, well, just a wound on the foot. Nothing that won't heal. M. Kaminari, okay son, pick up your things, you're leaving the nail. Everyone listened in surprise. M. Kaminari, I won't let you be in an academy that attacks at the slightest thing. Kaminari, if you're right, I'll go to one where I'm not being attacked every other dessert. Everyone listened to that with impression. Kaminari, and Mineta, you what are you doing? Mineta, I will stay, I want to be a hero and the villains will always attack you. Kota, I'm leaving too. So Kota and Kaminari started packing their bags, the parents of the others tried to convince them but the class refused. Kirasama, and does anyone know how Sensei is? Might, yes, but I have to talk to Gamer alone before telling you his status. Izuku, understood. Izuku and Mightnut left the dorms. Might, I'm telling you this because you'll tell it to your class, Aizawa has 3 months to live if the poison isn't extracted. The problem is that the poison is a quirk. We're already trying to see who the quirk is and the police have told me that you've already faced the laughing coffin. They want to give you the case but you need a provisional license first, the tests are in 1 month. Izuku, understood sensei. Might, go and tell them, I have to do some paperwork. Izuku entered the dorms and everyone saw him. Kyoka, and Izuku, Sensei has 3 months left to live. The class was in shock. Mina, what did you say? Mina could hardly say the sentence. Izuku, but we still have a way to save him. Kirasama, tell her. Izuku, get provisional licenses, then we can work alongside heroes and police officers with the director's permission, and we will stop laughing coffin. Poison is a quirk, which means that whoever launched the poison can destroy it. The class looked at each other and everyone nodded. Melissa, and when did we start? Izuku, during this month we will train, we will become the strongest, and we will give our Class A, plus Ultra by Sensei. Class A gave a war cry, and with clear ideas they began to prepare to defeat Smiling Coffin and save their sensei. Saving game. It was already Monday and Class A was heading to the academy, but their looks made it clear that they were more than ready to train like crazy. Might-Nit, where are you going? Everyone looked at Might-Nit. Kyoka, to class. Might, follow me. Everyone followed Might-Nit to the range field, which was prepared for an unusual training session. Might, I have asked for permission. Every year you can ask Nezu to give 2 months of training to a class and skip all his classes to train for an important event. I think this is very important. Izuku, this is what he meant about the paperwork the other day, right? Might, yes and no. You have before you the new sensei of the class until Aizoa recovers. These months I will be your tutor, and I have also called some acquaintances for this. Footsteps were heard behind them and everyone saw Mount Lady, Kamud, Endeavor, All Might, Present Mig, and Mirko. Might, from now on the class is under special training. All, well, starting today we will use an unusual training since you will do physical work. We will take your bodies and quirk to your limits and you will overcome them. You will learn to fight and save, you will learn to win to save and save to win. Class A looked at the heroes who were going to train them for these 2 months. Izuku, since we're waiting to start. Then the hellish training began. 1 week jump. The class was advancing by leaps and bounds, but since they didn't have top heroes training them, Izuku and Melissa fought against All Might. Melissa, Dietrich Smaz. Melissa gave a blow that All Might dodged, but Izuku was behind her with dragon scales wrapped in green fire. Izuku, dragon scales ability, green flare. Izuku gave a cut that All Might received full on and Melissa punched him, sending him up. Izuku, who was already on the ground, stood next to Melissa and both of them pulled their fists back and prepared a blow together. Izuku/Melissa, Zero Smaz. Zero Smash, ability created by Izuku and Melissa that combines the ice beam and a smash. When it hits, the person receives damage from the smash and a part is frozen. The blow hit All Might squarely, which ended in a crater with its chest frozen. Both the class and the heroes looked at Izuku and Melissa with impression. Endeavor, those two. Mount Lady, and defeated All Might. Might-Nit, not only that, they have a rapport that is not even normal, but only when they fight. The ones I've been watching this week tolerate each other, but in battle it's as if they were one. Kyoka, it's because they're both crazy. Endeavor, I think not all of them, but most of them already have enough potential for what we wanted to do. Might, yes, Kirasama, Todoroki, Jiru, Midoriya and Shield stay after training to talk to them about an important topic. So the rest of the training went by, and when it was time for everyone to leave, the designated ones stayed. Might, guys, we've asked you to stay to inform you about a mission. Izuku, a mission? Might, yes, but to be informed you have to accept. All, we accept. Endeavor, well, we've discovered that there's going to be some kind of meeting of villains and criminals. We want you to go undercover and get information from the League and R. Also, if there's something very dangerous for society, let us know and we'll act. All, at your service. Izuku, and when will it be? Endeavor, get ready in 2 days. So they left the Gamma camp and went to the dormitories. Izuku, when the class asks why we stayed, we'll say that they just wanted to give us some tips for our quirks. All, good. So they arrived at the dorms and Shoto made dinner, soba, everyone started to eat. Izuku, I can teach you how to cook. Shoto, shut up and eat. Izuku, okay, but I teach on Tuesdays. Shoto, I bet you won't have dinner. Izuku, I'll shut up. Izuku started eating the soba and everyone laughed. Mina, tomorrow is Saturday, they won't let us use the Gamma field because it's being renovated because of someone. Mina looked undisguisedly at Izuku, Melissa, and Shoto. Izuku, tomorrow we will rest and do whatever you want. Mineta, we could go out to the mall. Everyone/Izuku/Shoto, Yes/pos bail/ I have nothing to do. Katsuki, and emo and half a little more enthusiasm. Izuku, no. Shoto, why? So the class ate dinner quietly and then everyone went to sleep except for Izuku and Kyoka who played video games all night. The class was at the mall and everyone went their own way. Izuku, Kyoka, Shoto and Momo walked calmly towards a cafe for breakfast. Momo, you have dark circles under your eyes. Izukio, we are not sleeping. Shoto, and that? Izuku, we were playing all night. Momo, you have to stop playing games until late. Kyoka, we don't hurt anyone, so we won't stop. Izuku, well said Kyoka. Momo, you guys are weird. Izuku, hey, a little respect, you stuck-up lady. Momo, as you told me, mutant broccoli. Izuku, another one, you'll see, the next one who calls me broccoli, I'll kill him. When they finished breakfast, they went shopping at Momo and Kyoka's request. Shoto, and you and Kyoka are just friends. Izuku, yes, and you and Momo. Shoto, we're trying to get to something more. Izuku, congratulations. Shoto, it feels strange to me to be in a shopping center with two girls, we just look like 15-year-old kids who have gone out with their friends and we don't. Izuku, heroes. Izuku finished Shoto's sentence and they both laughed. Izuku, you're right, but well, heroes also have days off. Shoto, and you and Melissa. Izuku, no, we're just friends. Shoto, it took you 6 months to say that Melissa is your friend. Izuku, if it's true, at first I didn't consider her a friend, but now I know I can count on her. Izuku and Shoto talked while the girls tried on clothes. At 2 p.m. they met up with the class and ate, then they separated again and Izuku joined Shoto, Kyoka and Momo but Melissa and Kirasama joined them. Izuku sat on a bench waiting for his classmates to come out of the bathroom when a hooded man put his hand on his shoulder. Shigaraki, how are you little brother? Izuku looked at the one he once called brother now turned villain. Saving game.